All right. So I just had a personal broadcast, and now I need something a little lighter. Right now, it's the 23rd of March, 1 hour left on Central Standard Time. But I talked to you guys about one of the better comics I've had a chance to read in the past probably 3 years. And as many of you know, I haven't always been a comic book nerd. I've got experience reading a lot of comics, but I've got to say that I've picked up the habit because other things have disappointed me. Things like Doctor Who, which wasn't really a strong thing, the new Star Trek, the new Star Wars, a lot of things have just fallen flat according to my needs, my wishes. So a friend of mine said, "Hey, did you ever read Thor?" I'm like, way back I did, and it was good because Walt Simonson had read actual Norse mythology. He was growing up. A lot of people do whenever they get into something they really love. And for many years, a lot of us kind of thought that like there are certain comic book authors that they just know a character. They just know the world around that character and how to give him challenges or her challenges and how to feed them an amazing setup for a story that is epic. And we're no longer in the silver or golden age of comics. We're long past that. If you go to a local comic shop, you're going to have a lot of disappointment on the shelves, waiting for you to pick them up and then put them right back down because when you start reading the content, it's garbage. It's garbage tier. You get a lot of comics from the mainstream publishers that they've only reskinned a character, they've given a different race or a different sex, and they've applied modern politics to it, and it sucks. It's not a good comic story, but I've found that a voice that used to write comics when I was a young man, when I was a boy, he's gotten back into something he's quite familiar with. And Walt Simonson's very well versed in Norse mythology. He's got a lot of integrity. He's fun to read. Now, when it comes to entertainment, I'm a conservative. I'm right of center, but I'm willing to forego people's personal politics a lot of times if their art is good. If not by their art, by their paintings and such. No, if their craft is good, I'm willing to forego that for the most part until Twitter became a thing, and that was when I was like, oh no. And for even years, I was still reading Stephen King until 2016 when he got TDS, and I just couldn't read it anymore because I was seeing it pop up on my damn account all the time, and I liked that guy. I wanted to read more of his stuff, but as he got older, he's having that George Carlin issue where you're less funny, more angry, and I get it. I'm getting older. I'm getting more angry, but my anger is mainly the fact that people are letting themselves be docile and sheepish and letting other people do things for them instead of doing the heavy lifting themselves. That's the problem that I have. Um, Many of you already know that I look down upon those that have a automatic transmission vehicle, and it's getting so bad to the point now that our heavy trucks are being automatics because they're not teaching kids how to drive CDL standard manual shift vehicles in the driving schools and in the big companies like Swift and JB Hunt. They're giving them a crappy cab with a automatic transmission, and so you have a garbage tier of workers that don't know why the engine sounds like it does. Whereas if somebody gets more involved with it and they get a higher tier education, they can start discerning as to what's really going on with a piece of equipment. When you drive an automatic, you don't have Zen. When you drive a manual, you have Zen with it because you're using all four limbs to brace yourself. You're using your left arm to, hold the wheel. You're using the right arm to grip the shifter and to do that. And the whole time you're taking your foot on and off the clutch as it may need to be. And so you're hearing the road noise, you're hearing the engine, you're feeling all these vibrations, and your body discerns what's going on. And I'm going to transcribe into that where you or I'm just going to vacillate right into the craft of being a good artist is being someone who can give you the illusion that when you pick up their product again, their world comes alive. And you have some people that can't do that, and they let themselves slip into easy mode or automatic mode, and they don't craft you that world. They're just painting by numbers. All right, that was terrible, but it's a live stream. Fuck it. This is an omnibus for the first 6 issues of Ragnarok, okay? Now, I've given some bad or not so glowing comic reviews before, and I've told people to still buy the Orville comic because if you like the Orville TV show, yes, you should read it. You should really try to read it. You might not enjoy it. I never enjoyed all the episodes of Star Trek. I watched as many as I could. But there were some that I just felt like there's a heavy-handed message here, and I didn't get it too well. I didn't like it. Not that it crossed my emotional capacity to enjoy something, but for the fact that it would take me on an adventure I didn't want to really go on. And The Next Generation was horrible about that the first 2 seasons because it was a lot of heavy-handed preaching about basically globalist mind think and such like that. And I didn't care. And I still don't care. But in the later seasons of TNG, it got to be a much better show. And it was much better realized. The characters knew each other more. The actors were at ease with each other. And they were able to talk and converse. And they were able to craft wonderful narratives over the course of the seasons until like the 7th season. DS9, sorry. Not sorry. DS9 is a far superior show to TNG. Anyway, so you have Ragnarok. And this starts off with a family of dark elves that you learn that the young daughter, she's kind of touched. And the parents of the little dark elf baby are pretty capable assassins. The wife goes out and she gets a mission to go to a location and to slay monster at this spot. It sounds like a D&D adventure setup for like 3rd level characters. She gets there. On her way, she's managed to pick up some ruffians. The world has changed. And it has gone through Ragnarok. It's post-apocalyptic, Norse style. She picks up some pretty horrible people. The world is populated by humans, trolls, a few fire elementals. Weird mounts, lizard-like mounts that would look totally comfortable next to the dewbacks of Star Wars on Tatooine. But this is a world that has changed. This is a world that has been altered. And upon their arrival, they see what they're supposed to do. There's a large creature that's in chains. She tells her assassin, she tells her bandit friends, the ones she's paying, quick, go for it. And she sends them all to their death while she's trying to craft a spell and end its life. When it wakes up, it's got no jaw. It has no bottom jawbone. It's gone. A little blue light here. And he manages to deflect the spell that she sends after him, and he incapacitates her and ravages her body with a couple thuds, not in a raping sense, but in a blunt trauma via fist, He kills her entire crew, and what happens is she tells him her name, and he says, "You're the only one that could have defeated me." She says, "I was hoping they would distract you long enough so I could. I don't have much time left." And he says, "You fought well today. The place that was meant to entomb me will now be your monument." And then she knew she was going to die when she got there because Mjolnir was part of the seal on the door. And Thor is now released. And he's kind of confused as to what's going on. So he has to roam about and find what's really going on with this location. Thank you, viewer, for showing up. As he goes about, he finds out that there's been a cataclysm. Gingunapop or Ragnarok has happened, and the world has most definitely changed. The World Eater has devoured Yggdrasil. Yeah, yeah. Why am I not able to say the Norse tree of life? Anyway, the World Tree. There's a little squirrel-like creature called Ratatosk that tells him about everything, about all the various changes that have been going on, and Thor has this well of anger just open up inside his emotions, and he tells the creature to get away from him. And the creature avoids Mjolnir, and he says, "Thor, you're too angry. I'm going to leave you." And it does. And then finally, as he's making his way through the wastes, he realizes that the creature gave him some magical apples of youth. He encounters a village that has a troll bodyguard. He encounters a few people that are there willing to talk to him. Everybody in the world thinks he's a Draugr, a undead zombie-like creature common to Norse mythology. You remember them from Skyrim. But this entire village of people guarded by a troll, the troll says they'll die without me. They don't know how to use weapons. They shirk away from them. Come to find out, one of the town elders is got some trickery about, and that turns it into a very fun story around issue 3 to 4, and it wraps up in episode 6. Well, this is season 2 of this book, and if you like Norse mythology, just buy the comic. Just go to your local store or get online and buy the comic, because those of you that want to have a good story got it. Ragnarok is probably my favorite comic book that I've seen, and right now things have kind of ground to a halt on other issues from Dark Horse Comics. I'm still waiting on the continuation from what happened in last series of modules, or last series of comics. We're 4 issues in on Ragnarok Year 2, and it's very well done. Walt's art and his narrative work, the guy is amazing. You can see why Stan Lee had him do all that work he did for Thor. Walt Simonson's been in a lot of things. He's done a lot of various projects. And if you like the 80s run of Thor, pick this up. It's not even really a question. You just need to fit it into your bills. So this is worth you reading. It's worth you showing off to a younger member of your family and reading it to them. There's a good narrative. The characters react accordingly as they should. There's not a lot of forced dialogue whatsoever. It's just a very good comic. And if I was going to rate it on a scale of 10, I would say it is 9 out of 10 Jeff Goldblums, because there are some parts of it that are ridiculous, but there's much of it that still requires you to enjoy and read. I've not had a bad issue yet. I'm happy I discovered this comic, and I hope that maybe if you get the chance, you'll discover it too, because this is obviously one of those unsung pieces that people clamored for, and now we have the opportunity to buy it. I want you to buy it. This is a fun comic. It's not a complex read, but it does require you to use your gray matter a little bit. You guys have a great night. Please be well in this current environment we live in. Don't get the beer bug, and take care of your family. Enjoy yourself.